This meeting is being recorded for publication on the Thatcham Town Council YouTube channel. I declare the meeting open. Madam Clerk, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies received from councillors Jeremy Cottam, Lourdes Cottam, Ellen Crumley, Richard Crumley and Keith Woodhams.
Thank you very much. And do we have any declarations of interest, members? Undeclared. Public questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, one public question received from Councillor Pike.
Okay, Councillor Pike, you're not exactly public, but you can use
Yes, council question. Separate provision, yes.
Yes, do.
So this was a question submitted, circulated this afternoon under the urgency procedure because we received the information only late last week. And it relates to the possibility of providing caring expenses for town and parish councillors. So the question is, when our MP Laura Farris attended a meeting of full council in 2021, we drew her attention to an anomaly in expenses that can be claimed by councillors. Principal authorities are able to reimburse caring expenses to enable a member to attend meeting, but town and parish councillors are prohibited from doing so by law. Baroness Scott of Needham Market, the president of NAUC, has tabled an amendment to the Levelling Up and Regeneration Bill to address this anomaly. But this was not supported by the government minister in the session. Can the mayor confirm that the council supports the ability of the town and parish councils to pay caring expenses to enable councillors to attend meetings? And will he ask the clerk to write to Laura Farris to ask her to encourage ministers to support this amendment at future stages of consideration of this bill? And I have some more background information if people would like, but I'll pause there. Thank you.
Very much. And it's not for me to confirm. I think it's more the leader of council I'm going to ask to address the question, please.
Breaking the table, Mr. Mayor, on my way up. Never have these bits. Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor Pike. I think when you raised it with Laura, I think it found support amongst all councillors at the time. I think that we would welcome from this town council the amendment by the Baroness and would fully support that cause. I think for councils to truly represent their communities means that we need to put support in place to allow anyone from any financial background to be able to partake in the democratic local politics. And so without introducing carers schemes and allowances at a parish level, we clearly create a barrier which we would hope to remove. So thank you.
So,
would you like me to move a proposal?
I think I'd like you to.
Yes. So, Mr. Mayor, if I could propose that we write a letter as outlined in the question and seek the whole council to support that. Thank you.
And Councillor Pike, I just need a second.
Thank you, yes. Yes, I second that declaration.
Would anybody speak on that proposal? Otherwise, I would simply put it to members. It's recommended by the leader. Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. I hope you've got enough information to go on. I'm sure you work with Councillor Pike to that end.
Thank you to all councillors.
Pleasure. Pike, bring it to our urgent attention. So we now come to minutes of the meetings held on the 30th of January 2023 and the 28th of February 2023. Can I have a proposer and seconder for those of the 30th of January 2023, please? So proposed and seconded, proposed by Councillor Dillon, seconded by Councillor Lillycrop. All those in favour? I'll sign those, then I'll go on to the next one, so I don't forget to sign them. And then if I may have 27. Great. Could I have a proposer and seconder for those held on the 28th of February? So proposed Councillor Owen Jeffrey, seconded Councillor David Lister. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. Okay, members. I think I've got another one to sign. February. Good. And members, we've completely failed this evening to give a mayor's report in paper form. So I bet you've got one, haven't you? Yes, I know, the desktop publisher here. So I'm going to talk to mine, and I'm delighted to tell you that since the last council meeting, the 31st of January, when I reported, I've attended 17 new events on your behalf. They're picking up again, and at the parish council meeting last Thursday, I attended my 150th event. I hope you don't mind my including that one. But there are mayors sitting around saying, well, we didn't include that one in our tally. But I just draw your attention or look back on heading to Kennet House Performing Arts. The houses at Kennet Hall all undertook a short play, and that was excellent on 2nd of February. I opened both William House and Turner House on the Moors Road, and there is a plaque now saying Councillor Jeff Brooks opened those. So I am there for perhaps as long as that building is used as that. They keep sending me sales details. I don't know prospective owner, but we will see. And I enjoyed the Cat's Panto very much, except being thrown out of our own deck chair. I don't know if you've seen the picture, but they asked me to sit in the deck chair during the interval and rest. And then the Lord Mayor of London threw me out of it. He had seniority. A lady in the audience this evening, Miss Stephanie Stevenson, and I did a little bit of jiving at a ginger jive session at the Catholic Hall. And then we had the Mayor's traditional fundraising evening at the Frank Hutchins Hall, a quiz enjoyed by all with a fish and chip supper. And as importantly as the enjoyment, we raised £901.28 toward my two charities, which was wonderful. I injudiciously, my table won the event, which probably wasn't politic to do, but I blame Councillor Cole for being so good that night on the questions. The Kennet Radio enjoyed their 5th year anniversary during this period, and we raised the Commonwealth flag in what was blustery conditions, I seem to remember. And we did receive an email saying we were particularly at sea trying to put that flag up, didn't we, Councillor Lillycrop? And we will have to improve. I did thoroughly enjoy going to a charity called Engaging Potential, and spoke to 2 young men, 16, 17 years old, in Gaywood Drive, who don't attend school, but wanted some advice on careers and also to know what a mayor does. And I said, smiles a lot and shows an interest in people. And I think, as I've said before, is accessible, is available to people and to represent the town. And they seem to get a lot out of that. You might have noticed in the Newbury Weekly News last week that I went and opened Able World, and they sat me in a mobility scooter. And he said, why don't you buy this, then head round to McCarthy and Stone to Turner House and buy something, you'll be all kitted out perfectly. It got worse because they had lots of balloons with sail on, and they put sail in the basket at the beginning, at the front of the mobility scooter. It looked like the mayor was for sale. Perhaps the scooter was for sale and the mayor came free, or the other way around. Anyway, a good time was had by all. A more poignant one is on something I think we want to do at the cemetery, is they put a post box at the crematorium, and people can just post in there what they call a letters to departed friends, letter to heaven, just for somebody to be able to write to a loved one who's deceased. And I know that there's a desire to do this at our cemetery. I think it's a lovely thing to do. And so I did attend Berkshire Maestros last week at the Anvil on Wednesday evening, and several of our schools, Burcroft, Francis Bailey, was singing there. Wonderful concert, all musical shows. Musical shows, themes from there, up and at 'em, worked beautifully with the choir. And it was so good, I went on Thursday night again, when the deputy went, to see my granddaughter, who was with Whitelands Park. So say it didn't change the programme overnight though, so I knew what was coming down the tracks. And then the annual parish meeting, finally, on Friday morning, I went to an Armed Forces Veterans Breakfast at Crowthorne Fire Station. There were some people from Thatcham there, and they run these, as you know, or you may know, for veterans from the armed forces to get together, get back together, meet some colleagues, talk about old times, get a bacon sandwich, cup of coffee and a cake. And it's just started at Crowthorne Fire Station and supported by the fire service, which I know is dear to your heart, Councillor Jeffrey. 52 bacon rolls, and I think about 15 people turned up. But I'm sure the other bacon rolls went to the watch that was on that day and didn't get wasted. So 17 events. Sorry, we haven't got the movie show for you. I'll bring them into the report next time, the mayor making, which will be my final gig. And Deputy Mayor, I'm sure you've now got an all singing, all dancing, panoramic. Oh, it's there already. Look, it's there already. And I'll now hand over to you for your. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, just a few things to cover. Mostly in March, well, all in March, in fact. As the Mayor said, the quiz evening was excellent, and my table supported the event too. And I suppose, as is fitting in civic events of this kind, we came in second place behind the Mayor's table. I mean, I could complain, but I'm sure it is fitting. But what a great fundraiser and a fantastic evening that was. As the Mayor said, the flag raising was hair raising as well as flag raising. It was man versus the elements. And if you watch the video very closely, you'll see that either one or other of us is hanging onto the flag for dear life. The other one is reading, otherwise it would have disappeared altogether, I think. But excellent event that. And just a few events that I attended this month. 2 concerts, Children Helping Children, first of all at the Hexagon, and then the Maestros event, as the Mayor said, covered on the second evening. Both full of amazing talent. It just is incredible what the children across the region can put together in a performance, and the teaching is first class as well. Very different concerts, I have to say. The Children Helping Children, a wider age range, and great talent, very quite formal in the way it was presented, or very careful curtain calls and everything. The Maestro's concert, but just as amazing, but in different ways. It was full of joy, full of colour, and just full of so much energy, which I think is really brilliant. The other event I went to, which in a way was the one that really stood out for me this month, was the mock trial competition at Reading Crown Court. I'd never heard of it, I have to say. I'd never been to anything like it. In fact, it was my first time in Reading Crown Court, you'll be glad to hear. But it really was quite impressive. And teams from across the county, I guess sixth form age mostly, having the opportunity not just to debate, but to actually put themselves in the role of lawyers and witnesses and indeed jury members, and really to experience the whole legal process with supporting magistrates. And I was very impressed with the amount of effort that went in from a whole team of legal professionals in the background to make that event happen. And so, yeah, that was a real highlight of the month for me. So I just wanted to say as well, as this is the last full council meeting, that I've been honoured to serve as deputy mayor for the year, and I've thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it. And thank you very much for the opportunity to do it.
So we go on to item number 6, the approval and adoption of committee minutes. And to receive and consider adoption of the following committee minutes. First up, Recreation and Amenities Committee minutes dated 27th of February, 20th of March. Madam Mayor, you want these, Park, you want these taken separately or on block? Separately by committee, yeah. Can they be on block by committee? Okay, so I can take the two together. Propose them, Councillor Lindcroft.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose the minutes of the Recreation and Amenities Committee for the 27th of February and the 20th of March.
Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Dillon, all those in favour? Very much indeed. I've then got Finance and General Purposes Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to propose adoption of the Finance and General Purposes Committee minutes of the meeting of Thursday, 9th of March.
Thank you very much. I've got a seconder, seconded by Councillor Dillon again. All those in favour? Thank you very much. I've then got 3 planning and highways meetings. Chairman.
Thank you. So I'd like to propose the adoption of the minutes of the Planning and Highways Committee on dated the 31st of January, the 21st of February and the 16th of March.
Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Lillicrop.
14th of March.
All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. Town Centre Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose the adoption of the minutes of the Town Centre Committee held on Monday, the 6th of March.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Dillon. All those in favour? Thank you. I'd like to propose myself the event committee minutes dated the 6th of February 2023. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lillicrop. All those in favour? And finally, the Community Awards Panel. Again, I'll propose those as I chaired it on the 15th of March. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lillicrop. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Item 6 concluded. Item 7, Royal Mail Postal Delivery Service across Thatcham. Councillor Jeffrey, are you introducing this?
Thank you very much, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Members will remember that we got a letter in reply to our letter, dated the 2nd of March and received by us on the 8th of March. So I think it was pretty obvious that at that stage, the problems that have been identified are still there. I think at the end of the day, sometimes it just comes down to personal experience, doesn't it? And my personal experience is that last week, I started to get odd bits of mail on different days. In the very, I beg your pardon, that was the week before. Last week, in 6 postal days, which are obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I received mail on 5 separate days. And I stopped having the wonderful experience of getting 8 or 9 letters in an elastic bag all delivered together. Now, one person's experience does not mean that that's absolutely typical across the whole of Thatcham. On the other hand, I think it would be extremely remarkable if they had actually managed to prioritise just my house out of the whole of the town of Thatcham, just big odds. So I am hoping that this really is an indication the Royal Mail have done exactly what they said, and taken the whole matter seriously and have started to get the mail system working. The comment I would now make is really to urge anybody, not just councillors, but any member of the public, where this is not the case, where they're still getting bundles of mail once a week or twice a week, please be send an email or whatever, all these various different electronic methods that we can use nowadays. Some people can use. Please send a message to the council, because if there are particular areas that are not getting proper service, then we have now got a conduit to take these matters up with Royal Mail and to say this particular area, that particular area is not being successfully looked after. But by and large, I think the letter that we decided to send by Pony Express or whatever it was to Newbury Post Office, one way or another, I think it has had the desired effect. And isn't that nice when something can actually go the right way for once? Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. We can reasonably assume that letter got through. Anybody want to comment? I'd like to thank Councillor Jeffrey for his efforts in this regard, but I think we need to keep vigilant and aware of any further disruptions we have. It was pretty darn severe. Thank you very much. Council strategy 2021 to 2025, number 8. I think the leader is going to discuss it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, members, for the chance to for us to review our strategy. First of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Lister, who was the main author of this strategy when we adopted it in 2021. And it runs until 2025, so we wouldn't expect to see all of it completed as we're only halfway through the time period. What our action strategy says, published on the council website on the review, is that we will review it quarterly. And so I think that we probably want to diarise that for full council so that we can report back as the adopted document states. But actually, upon reviewing the document, quite clearly, certain things have moved on, Mr. Mayor. You know, the local plan has been submitted today. We hear, so, you know, this was written before the local plan was out. There is lots of calls in here about infrastructure needs for the town. Given now that we have a local plan being submitted that doesn't have that infrastructure needs in, I think a refresh of this strategy and just bringing some of those positions up to date would be worthwhile, and would suggest that the new administration take that as an early piece of work for them to do. However, what have we achieved so far? The strategy is broken down into community, young people, facilities, environment, business, heritage, local infrastructure, and our profile. And I'm pleased to say that we've been able to tick off a number of those actions underneath each of them. So we have charitable events supported through our grants process, Mr. Mayor. We have a full civic calendar and a full calendar of events, which we committed to maintaining. Under community as well, we also spoke about improving the cleanliness of the town. And I'm pleased that through our new grounds maintenance contract, we have put additional provision in, and hopefully residents are starting to see the benefits of that in their streets and in the town centre. But also in community, we said about launching Thatcham in Blue, and that's something that we haven't yet done, Mr. Mayor. So again, I preference it at the start. We're never got through all of these at the moment, but I think it's right that while we pat ourselves on the back for some things that we have achieved, we're also clear to people some of the projects that we still need to deliver. On young people, we talk about supporting them with youth provision, and we've been a long-term proud funder of the Thatched Youth Model here in Thatcham, and we're continuing to see benefits from that. It needs to keep improving and evolving as the young people in the town have different, different behavioural habits, shall we say. You know, it's not always the Broadway anymore where young people of Thatcham congregate. They might go to Dunstan Park, they might go to Hennick Park. It's about making sure our youth model can go out there and engage with them. But also we talk about increasing young people in democracy, something that when I was the mayor, Mr. Chairman, I used to have the primary schools come in and we do a mock council meeting with them and teach them about some of the basic functions of the council. I think there's more that we can do on engaging young people, and we need to put some focus in that after the election. In terms of facilities, hopefully everyone will have noticed the vast improvement in the council's social media coverage. Whether that's promoting our own objectives, whether it's promoting the market or supporting local businesses and charities. It's very rare that I see a day goes by on my social media themes where there's not some content from the town. I think that's important, that it brings everyone together and publicises those events. We've also increased our play equipment in our play parks, most recently through a West Berkshire members bid, and then this town council matching that to see over £40,000 worth of investment going in just the last few days. And what I'm pleased about is it's accessible play equipment for all. So again, we're developing and increasing the range of equipment that we have in our play areas. And we've also made improvements to the toilets. We've gone in there, we fixed the issues, we've made them more secure, more welcoming. And again, something that many towns just don't have the luxury of having anymore. But through this administration, we've made that commitment to keep those toilets open. On the environment, we've created an action plan, but we need to do more, particularly on behavioural change. And I know that that's going to have to be a focus for us in the next 4 years to make sure that the good work that we've started is continued, and that people understand from that how they can change the way that they behave so that they can have less of an impact on the environment. But we've also purchased a thermal imaging camera, Mr. Mayor. That's now been out in the community, had some photos done. for testing so that we can produce the guidance, and then members of the public will be able to come here and be able to borrow the thermal imaging camera and take a picture of their own home to understand where their energy leakage is within their properties, helping to target insulation where it's needed. On business, we have a vibrant market, and we've now have a master plan. We were calling out in our document for more focus on the Broadway, and now we have a master plan that we're ready to engage in with the public. On heritage, we've got our blue plaques, and we continue to add to that. And on the local infrastructure, we talk about demanding better infrastructure. I think I said in another meeting yesterday, Mr. Mayor, that special thanks needed to go to Councillor Pike and Councillor Lister. I think that the evidence base that we put together and voted through at this council is a clear demonstration of our demand of what Thatcham needs to be able to keep up with the house building. So thank you in particular to two councillors opposite for their work on that. We said that we would revitalise the Broadway with our Welcome Back Fund. We did that. We've made improvements to the Broadway Green. We have our Love Shop, Love Thatcham branding now, and I think that's really lifted the Broadway up. And that links into our profile, which was again about, making sure that people knew that the town council was here, that it was invested in their needs and delivering for them. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to commend the first 2 years of the council strategy. There is still some work to go. As I said, I do believe that it could do now with a refresh, given that certain key policies in the district have moved forward from when we first wrote it. But Thatcham is in a good direction, and we are confident of being able to deliver the whole strategy by 2025. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great to you. Any questions for Councillor Lister, Dillon?
Might be better for this. Thanks.
Or Councillor Lister, the initial answer.
And the deputy leader.
Okay, so noted and received, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 9 is grants budget. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did not allocate all of the £17,000 in the main grants budget this year. There are quite a number of charities and organisations that we were able to support. But as ever, the concentration that we have is what's this going to do for the residents of Thatcham? And we're not going to allocate money just willy-nilly. That has one great benefit in that we have some surplus left over. And the new community project fund, so new, been going 2 years now, is the smaller grants, the 250 here, the £100 there, that actually make a huge difference to some of the organisations within the town for gazebos, for all sorts of equipment, and for draft exclusion and things like that. Therefore, the proposal that I would like to make is that we via the remaining unallocated money in the budget pot over to that community project fund to fund future small donations.
So that's the proposal. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Dillon. Just before I put it to the vote, I think it's important to say that we want to give the money away. We want to award the money, but it has to be within the parameters we set in terms of helping the people of Thatcham, being a worthy cause that is going to achieve the objectives that they want the money for. So I think we're stringent and rigorous in the awards process, but we also, by being rigorous, sometimes have a little bit of surplus, and that's happened here. So just to put it in context, as you did yourself, Councillor Cole. So all those in favour of that, please. Thank you very much. Councillor Cole, am I with you again on number 10, Virement of Reserves?
I don't know whether the leader wishes to speak first on this one.
Yeah, I'm happy for Councillor to lead on the Virement. If I can just talk about the reasoning for the money, Mr. Mayor.
And are you happy to second, sir?
Yeah, I think we're going to make an amendment to what's written here as well. So,
Councillor Cole will introduce. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There we have, and I can't actually believe I am saying this, given that I'm meant to be Mr. Doom and Gloom as far as finances are concerned, but we have had a slight bonus. In fact, we've had two bonuses. We no longer have to do the traffic survey for the local plan. And in addition, there is a lower call on us for Kennet Leisure Centre by about £6,000. So one of the things that the leader was very keen on, and we'll talk later on, no doubt, is assistance to the Friends of Thatcham Library. What I would wish to propose on the actual virement of reserves, councillors will know that we've got some rather large headwinds coming up in the 24-25 budget and the 25-26 budget, a lot of which are unknown, all round the St Mary's graveyard, for example, being one of them, and also the total unknown, which is going to be the energy prices, plus amounts that we will need to put into rolling capital. So I would rather like to earmark that bonus into a specific earmark reserve. The total amount that I believe we are talking to Thatcham Library is actually £14,000. I would like to suggest that the sum of £14,000 goes into the earmark reserve for payment out over the next 3 years, which is the £12,000 from the traffic survey and £2,000 of the additional bonus that we had for the underspend on Kennet Leisure Centre.
Thank you. So the amendment being it's taken up to £14,000, do you wish to second and speak to it?
I second, and I want to talk about what we're going to use the money on, Mr. Mayor, rather than
Yes.
environment itself. So, this council made a decision when we set our budget that the promise that we made to the electorate about keeping council tax below inflation was an important promise that we shouldn't break. Because of that, we then had funding decisions to take. And one of the decisions that we took in this chamber was that we wouldn't fund statutory services that are meant to be provided by West Berkshire Council. So that's where we were with regards to the library service. However, after that decision, myself and Councillor Lillycrop went and met the Friends of Thatcham Library, and we spoke through the reasons and the financial situation we were in as a council and why we didn't feel it was appropriate that a statutory service should be funded by a town council. And the Friends of the Library understood the arguments, and they could see quite clearly the rationale for that. However, the Friends of the Library aren't the West Berkshire Statutory Library Service. So we wanted to see what we could do to work with them. And what we've come up with, Mr. Mayor, is a 3-year service level agreement. So the outcomes and the objectives will be clearly set, clearly reportable back to us to see if they deliver. And what the money will be used for, it won't be used for salaries, the statutory side. It won't be used for the rolling book stock. It won't be used for energy or running costs of the library service. Again, the statutory functions that West Berkshire should cover. But what this money will do is provide the Friends of the Library with an operating budget where they can buy books for children to take home with them as part of the summer reading clubs, where they can pay authors and illustrators to come into the council and engage young people in reading. I've done these schemes myself in my professional life, and they do work and they help increase educational attainment. We can also use it to buy special furniture, for example, rising chairs, so the elderly members of the parish can go to the library and read a book in comfort and know they can get out of the seat easier. There is so much that we can do to support the Friends of the Library to enhance the service that they are giving for our town. And Mr. Mayor, through it being a service level agreement, with these facilities being run directly in our town, we know that our money is having more of a direct impact for the taxpayers that pay it. That we aren't underpinning all of the parishes like we currently do with the £20,000 contribution that goes to West Berkshire Council under that statutory umbrella. So the Friends of the Library are really excited about it, Mr. Mayor. I think we're excited to be forming a new partnership with a key community group. And I look forward to receiving members' support on this. Thank you very much.
Councillor Richard Foss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just ask for a reminder of why we didn't pursue the traffic survey? My recollection was that the local plan, we didn't have faith in the survey that was done by West Berks Council, particularly the traffic flows going south towards Basingstoke and traffic flows along the A4, and that we had put a budget aside to do our own survey. I can't recall why we decided not to do that.
Councillor Pike is itching to answer you.
Thank you. So there's a few reasons. So one of the reasons was the reduction in number of houses from 2,500 to 1,500, which affected that. Second reason is that West Berkshire Council did do an extra study, which was provided very late, well, at Regulation 19. And also that you, in order to do a study, you need data, and you need to provide something which is different from what is already being provided, because if you use the same data and provide it to a consultant using a standard methodology, you'll get the same result. The final reason was that we have been discussing with Bucklebury and Coldash parish councils about the traffic going north, particularly from a potential northeast Thatcham development. And they were able to fund that themselves, and I believe that is part of their study. So I would say also, of course, that we had to focus our effort where it would provide most value, and our overall contribution to the, shall I say, the collective Northeast Thatcham response, it was possibly in manpower rather than in external consultancy. But it probably wouldn't have been productive to have spent the time and effort finding a consultant, liaising with them, and the other things which were higher priority. And I think also, frankly, going south, the key issue is the level crossing, which is outside of the methodologies anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Pike. Does that help, Councillor Foster? Councillor Steve Otterwater.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm delighted to hear from you, Councillor Dillon, that you have now come and decided to support the library. Yes,
Friends of the Library. Point of order,
thank you. The Friends of the Library, but you are supporting them because, as you quite rightly said, the Friends of the Library are a key and important part of the service. And again, I'm delighted that you've come round to thinking about this vital service which residents value. One point you did make, Councillor Dillon, was I think, and again, please don't take me up on the exact words that you used. I think words to the effect of that I paraphrase as villages of Thatcham contribution not wanted to be dissipated to freeloaders from Coldash and elsewhere, and people who visit the library, because of course we here nobody should control exactly who comes and visits a library. And it's quite right that while it's based here and the majority of visitors and users are Thatcham residents, of course there are going to be others from villages, some of which do still contribute and some don't. So it's been splitting the hairs, if I may say so, Councillor Dillon, to say this will only go here. Of course it will. It's very welcome, and I'm delighted that you're now supporting the library again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a proposal. I have a seconder. Do I have any other speakers? Therefore, I'm going to ask for those in favour of this proposal, please show. Thank you very much. I suspect this is you again, Councillor Cole, being the final local government finance settlement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know absolutely nothing about this topic. I believe probably the town clerk is potentially the one with the information.
He's phoning a friend. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, each year, the Secretary of State considers whether town and parish councils should be brought under the same rules as principal authorities with regard to setting precept and council tax, and whether that should be capped at this level as it is at the higher levels. And just to confirm that there is no requirement to go to referendum in relation to capping town and parish councils for this financial year.
So a noted item, members. Thank you for that. And I'll move on. I don't need to vote on that. Received it. Madam Clerk, you're going to give us a little bit of guidance on the pre-election period, I think, are you? Thank you.
Thank you. So as of today, we have just entered the 6-week pre-election period, formerly known as PERDA. Essentially, it is business as usual, but there are some restrictions on what the town council can publicise, mostly based around publicity. I've provided a document that's been produced by the local governments. What's there? Government authority. We just need to be mindful, particularly any publicity involving those councillors standing for re-election. So we may go a little bit quiet on some things on our social media. Doesn't usually tend to affect decision making too much, but just to be mindful that we are now in this pre-election period. And if any councillors would like any clarification on anything, don't hesitate to pop me an email or give me a call.
Councillor Neil.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Interesting. I think quite a lot of us do know it as PERDA, but I think that phrase is actually now frowned upon, the connotations with the headwear of PERDA as well. So I think it is pre-election period that we need to, us as members need to get in the habit of saying rather than PERDA. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you're intending to make any remarks at the close of this meeting about the last 4 years. And so if you are, I'll happily take my seat. But it felt anywhere in the agenda, as we're talking about the pre-election period, just to say to all of those members who have served the last 4 years, thank you on behalf of the council and the community. And also for those retiring members, I know we've got Councillor Foster, I think, unless Jeff's finally managed to twist your arm. We have our deputy leader, Councillor Lister. I know Councillor Fielding won't be standing, and we're not quite sure on our Conservative colleagues, but again, if that is the case, our best wishes obviously go to any of those members as well. With the dual-hattedness of some of us, the politics from West Berkshire can come down here sometimes, but I think even when it does, it's done in a slightly more gentle way than it is done at West Berk. And I think in the round, even when we disagree, like we just have potentially there, we still do it in a respectful way to each other. And for all of those who are standing again, particularly if you're yellow, best of luck. If you're not of the yellow persuasion, even more luck. Then don't apply for a passport just yet. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, may I add my thanks to members for that, and those who stand again, and my best wishes to most of them, all of them. I said at the West Berkshire District Council meeting last week before, everybody stands for council, don't stand to do bad things. They stand to try and help their community to do good things. I remember saying that across the political divide, there are different ways of defining how you deliver good, but you don't come here trying to do a bad job or wishing to do a bad job. And so every councillor has made a contribution in this 4 years, and whether they're standing again or standing down, they should be thanked for that, as should all the staff for a excellent support and working relationship, hard work in that time, and no little number of achievements in that time as well. And thank you for that. May I just, you talk about within the pre-election period that it's business as usual. And the council, therefore, can open things and can issue press releases on matters that are council related, not councillor related. I will still go along as the mayor, and some people might take my photograph, and I won't say I'm sorry, I'm in the pre-election period. So business continues largely as usual, and I'm building up to something here, because I understand next week we will have a little ceremony for the new VC stones, and we're allowed to do that, and we're allowed to publicise the fact that we as a council have achieved that, and all council members will be invited to go along, because that's an important thing to keep the momentum going on business as it usually should be conducted. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. So, members, that's again a noted item, but we're all being told to behave ourselves, I think, basically. And then we have reports, number 13 on the council surgeries. You have your document here in the back. Does anybody want to draw attention to any aspect? The report, the surgeries were held on the 4th of February and the 21st of March. You can see there that the North East Thatcham proposed development was discussed, as was the missing bollard at Lawrence's Lane and speeding on Lower Way. Declare an interest really, because I live on Lower Way.
And have a fast car.
And now you meet me home at the night, so I saw the speed you were going.
Coming out now. Oh, gracious me. Oh dear. Even with envy, I don't know. So you have those three in particular. Councillor Pike.
Seems that this is an opportunity to give an update on the bollard at Lawrence's Lane. So there was a recommendation put to an individual executive member decision, I think it was last week, not to continue with the traffic regulation order. And for various reasons that was deferred for further consideration. So there's still an opportunity there. Thank you.
Okay, and then I'm on to reports from West Berkshire District Councillors. Very much an end of term feeling at the last council meeting. Councillor Water.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of environmental bits of news which will be of, I hope, particular interest to other members of the Environmental Working Party, of a couple of ongoing but good initiatives, and again outside the pre-election period, if we could all promote in our various ways, that'd be good. So one recent addition to the recycling service is paint, which of course one doesn't normally think of as being a major pollutant and so forth, but actually involves huge amounts of waste. When one paints a wall and there's half the tin left over, it's very expensive to dispose of because it's nasty stuff and it costs a lot to truck it around the country. And there is now, or there has been now, both at Newtown Road and Padworth, a paint recycling shop whereby you can simply deposit your paint. It's nicely sorted by the staff by colour and type and everything, and then is free to use either for DIY projects at home or for community groups. So if you come across somebody needing some paint, do remind them that that is there, and it will help everybody if instead of buying a new tin of paint, they could use that. Likewise, as you may have heard, there was a giveaway of soil conditioner at Padworth a couple of weeks ago, very popular. This is again the output of our food recycling and garden waste recycling. I think 50 tonnes was given away. So it's popular stuff. It's very good for the garden and again, very ecologically sound. Finally, on another tack, I think we touched on the town centre master plans, certainly for here, and that was again approved at executive and will be taken forward over the coming years into much more detailed consultation and proposals based on that overall strategy. But broadly, actually, I'm glad to see there was a very favourable comparison between here, Thatcham and Hungerford, which is the other town going through. There's a much higher degree of support for the proposals and plan from Thatcham consultees than from Hungerford. So that's as it should be. But again, I'm sure we all look forward to that plan being developed into a significantly better town centre for us in the years to come. Thank you, Matt.
Well, I'm bound to say that I took advantage of the soil improver opportunity both last year and this year. And I don't know if I'm right in saying it looked a lot busier this year than it did last year. And that's to be expected because the first year people are sort of maybe aware of it, maybe not. By the second year, it's in their diary and new people are being aware of it. So let's keep it going. Because there's now a bag full at home ready for the spring to be sprinkled or whatever when spring has sprushed. So thank you for that. We have nothing else from West Berkshire District Councillors, and I have therefore reports from Town Council appointees to outside bodies. Thatcham Welfare and Support Society, Councillor Lourdes Cottam and Jennifer Walker. Councillor Jennifer Walker not here, so I'm going to move on from that one unless you had anything separately. And then the Thatcham Relief in Need Charity and Thatcham Parochial Charities. I didn't know that met, didn't it, Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. very much business as usual for the almshouse element of the parochial charities. Regrettably, our residents had to move out, but as ever, we've taken to refurbish the particular flat and we've already lined up to take advantage of that particular property. The relief in need, we continue to have some issues giving away the totality of the money that we receive. We receive money from various endowments, some of which go back to about 1600 and something. It's always actually a struggle to give away the amount that we need, but we are working with referral partners, with schools, with other organisations to endeavour to give away the money to the residents of the old parish of Thatcham, which includes Greenham and Cold Ash and Midgham. And I think we should stage a takeover bid anyway.
We want more money for the library then.
Well, on that jocular note, and with everybody around the table smiling, I will bring the meeting to a close, the final formal meeting of the council. Next one, mayor making. Thank you very much, members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.